some insights, and then you can ask away as you see fit. Because typically I'm a little concerned if there's a huge difference in what somebody knows and somebody else doesn't. So I'll go through this and then we can see where it takes us. How's that sound? And please, so I wanted to actually give you this background because we're like, why are we talking about drinking Kool-Aid? And why we're talking about drinking Kool-Aid is because Heather was asking me about doing this presentation, and we got into this, and people are still so about, well, I'm not going to do social media, and I don't care what my friends had for lunch, and that's all that it's involved, and that's really not what it is at all. So it's much more than that, and what we're going to go over tonight is ways and things that it does involve. Why am I standing up here talking? Not just because I waste a lot of time on Facebook, but I work. So I have a dual background of design and marketing, which for me is super, super fun because I can take both now and merge them. So I've worked with, I've done presentations for the NKBA, I've presented at KBIS, I've worked with Mockit, I work with the software company that I utilize to do my designs. So all I'm doing is telling you that I'm not just some crazy little blonde chick, that I have a background and I really study this a lot and utilize it a lot in business situations. So what is let me just see where are you guys at? Is anybody really using platforms a lot and having some great experience, or do you feel more like you want to learn because this is kind of new? You were saying I know you need help.
Learn.
Excellent. Get that on tape. Anybody else? Lucas, I know you've got a big company behind you.
Yeah,
so.
we try to get out there, but it seems like woodworking doesn't really use computers and social networking as much because it tends to be a more generational gap.
Yep, I would agree with that very much.
I'm just getting into Facebook and really starting. So.
Okay. Are you a designer?
Yeah, I'm a interior designer.
Okay.
Well, I've been researching enough over the past few years, enough to know that I don't like Facebook at all.
Okay.
I think
That's good to know.
It's terrible, and I actually like Twitter better, but it seems like Facebook is still king.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to
I think
that.
Twitter's a lot more efficient, but that's me.
Heather is
Sorry,
a
Mark Zuckerberg.
Heather's a Twitter addict, so
I do.
yeah.
I like that quite a bit
She's
more.
a tweet girl.
I've had a business Facebook page for about 6-8 months now, and I send out a newsletter.
Okay.
That
Email marketing.
Yes,
Okay.
I want to set it up on a blog platform, and I kind of got caught right there and then got stuck. So,
Okay.
yeah, because I just dread the conversation.
You dread having the conversations with people, or you dread the
Yeah,
idea
because
of
like I have an email address on GoDaddy, but I set up I didn't realize what I was doing. I set up the blog through Bluehost, and they told me to call GoDaddy and get permission to do this. And of course, when I called them, they told me something else. And
you're like, I need a drink.
Yeah.
I have to drink the Kool-Aid now because
that
this is driving me
2
nuts.
months ago.
Because it's so fun.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So now I need my view back. So what am I talking about next? Is it gonna? Do I need to like keep my finger on this so it doesn't do that? Like don't. Okay. So. Okay. I'll just go like this.
Yeah.
That's good. What came to me as part of all of this is the idea of being relevant. And what the dictionary says is that it's having social relevance or having significant and demonstrable bearing on the matter at hand, which of course sounds like a dictionary definition. But if we go to the next slide, I want you to just think about like if you have kids, how often do you text them? If do you know if you have teenagers, do they have a Facebook account? Do they have an Instagram account? Do you know anything about it? I mean, I have friends with kids in high school and in college, and they know their passwords. They keep such an eye on what they're doing. Now, they themselves don't use the platforms much, but they're very concerned about what their kids are doing. And then there are other people who kind of go, oh, I'm only on this because I want to stay in touch with my grandkids, which is whatever it takes to get you involved. But it is about being relevant. If you're wanting to stay in touch with your kids, if you're wanting to be relevant with your husband, and you know, how much are they connecting to who you are? And where I go with that is not just making friends, but for today's customer. You were talking about that you text notes in meetings, which is fine. Everybody has different tools. I still love the feel of a great pen and paper. That doesn't mean I don't use technology. It just means that there are different tools in different ways. And so how do I stay relevant? If I'm looking for customers, I don't want all my customers to continue to get older because they're gonna die. I need their children and their grandchildren to continue to become customers of mine. And so how do I stay relevant to that group? And I want you to keep that term in your mind as you think about this, because it really is relevant. I mean, it's important. So why should people use social media? I mean, does anybody have a thought about that other than it's kind of annoying, but I don't have a choice. I can't use Yellow Pages anymore.
You mean business owners?
Business owners, absolutely, because that's what we're talking about.
Well, I mean, to stay competitive, and then also, I mean, what would I be doing if there was no social media before that? I mean, sending out mailings?
Great question. Great.
Spending
Yep.
a lot more money?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like you just said, it's free,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's something that a large population check on a daily basis.
Yes.
And if you can be liked by them or favorited by them or followed, however you want to put it, it's something that it's always going to come up in their news feed,
Yep.
and you're always going to know that they're going to see your message one
Yep.
way or another. It's
Perfect.
just a matter of coming up with catchy taglines.
Yep. And really great information. So that's, any other thoughts from anybody? I'm going to give you one that goes to the heart of what a lot of people, or the very analytical business aspect of people goes to, which is search. And I'm going to use the terms Google and search synonymously in this presentation, even though we know there's Bing and there are some other search.
Yahoo.
Yahoo, thank you. See?
Hotmail.
Oh.
There's Ask Jeeves.
Ask
Yeah,
Jeeves,
ask
right,
.com.
and AOL.com, and yeah. So we use search, and where I want to go with that is that so search drives so much. People are looking online. That's how we find what we're doing, where we're going, literally where we're going, what we're doing, where we're eating, who we're liking, what we're wearing. I don't know, when was the last time you didn't, I mean, when I did the presentation at KBIS, we started off with this stat and we asked people, like, how many of you, when was the last time you were more than an arm's length away from your phone for more than 12 hours? 47% of people sleep with their phone by their nightstand, and 7% sleep with it in their bed. So you want to be where people are. That is where people are. So actually, we're staying on this slide. But here's where I'm going to give you some guidance, and I think your point is super valid. If you don't like a platform, don't just hop on everything just because.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
And I have the other slide that I was going to use for this was beer, hop on every
Nice.
platform. But I was trying to be a little more sort of professional. So what you can do, because the other thing that I come up against from people a lot is time. I have no time, I'm so busy. I have an Olympic medal in being busy. The 3 platforms that I think you can participate in that don't require a Twitter addiction is these 3,
Not
which
pointing
is
any fingers.
Pinterest and LinkedIn, and very targeted for this industry, House. So if you just want to keep those, like if you are, because it does take time. And I'm not going to lie to you about that. It really does. You do, and the more time you invest, the better your return, yes.
You're saying these are good ones to use?
These are ones that don't
Okay.
require you to check in frequently.
Okay.
That you can post something on LinkedIn, you can post things on Pinterest, and you can post things on Houzz, and you could not go back to the platform for a few days and still be okay. Twitter, I feel like it's been 2 minutes, I should be back out there doing something.
But isn't Facebook sort of like?
Facebook is like that too. Well, Facebook is, I think you do need to be on it more frequently.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And that's why I don't have it up there, because these are the ones you can kind of skid by on, that don't require, if you're taking this on as a small business owner, and you're taking it on, that's very different than, I have a dedicated employee, or I have somebody who's gonna help me with this. So then they can be fielding that. And I have to go out and still measure closets or do other things for my business. So as much as I would have fun being on all the platforms all day long, I can't. And it does get a little crazy. I feel like she's my Vanna White, right?
Thank you.
The other term I want you to become familiar with is social proof, and what that is and why it's valuable. So what social proof is if I go, and I didn't want to do a bunch of just screenshots to give you evidence of this, so I want you to just trust me blindly, right, and drink the Kool-Aid. But what social proof is the idea that you are participating. So if you put into Google the name of my company, which is Butchko and Company, or you even just put my name, you will see my LinkedIn profile, my Twitter profile, my Houzz profile. Actually, my Houzz profile is second to my website. And that's all organic search. That's not something I paid for. Those all show up because I participate in the platforms. So if you saw me on the Woodworking Network, or you saw me do a presentation at KBiz, and then you go online and you see that you can do all this research. You can, like, oh, who is this girl? And, am I going to pay to take one of her classes? I don't know. Well, here's a whole bunch of supporting evidence. So supporting evidence, according, like if I were a lawyer, in a marketing term, is social proof. And I joke about the blue head syndrome, but this drives me crazy.
Yep.
People who have, in particular on LinkedIn, really? Like, is this what you look like? You have a blue head. We are taking his picture tonight and we are putting it on his profile. You have his login, right?
We could probably make him there somehow.
So, do I want to hire this person? Can you recommend this person to me? This person looks like 5 million other people out there. So, there's no social proof that this, like, somebody told them, their boss made them go to a LinkedIn seminar, made them create a profile. They're like, okay, I got to do this, and that's it. And there's no picture, there's no anything. You're like, oh my God, why bother? My boss made me do it. Okay. So having those things online really gives you credibility in today's marketplace. And it levels the playing field. So how do I, Denise Butchko, compete for a closet job against California Closets? I have no interest in competing for that job on price. And when I go, if I'm even going to go to talk to the client, I'm not going to take the same approach. That potential client can do all the background beyond just my website and figure out who I am and what I'm about. And if they want to do business with me, it's because I've developed that kind of reputation, and they're not going to buy a commodity sale. And typically that's a lot of what architects, builders, designers, you don't want the $9.99 shopper. You want somebody who really values your expertise. It's taken you a long time to learn it, so you want to get paid for it, and that's part of what this helps you do. You can, this is a roller coaster ride, and it's 2 young people, and one of them is probably passed out. And I show this because people I'll be at a conference, and they'll be like, yeah, my grandson, and he's doing my Facebook. Okay. Would you hire your grandson as a salesperson? Does he know what the voice of your company is? Does he know how to answer the questions that you need answered if a client would do that? Because that's important. So I'm not saying you have to do it. Obviously you can't. do it all. But that's something to really also put in your mind, that it doesn't just happen that you hand it to a 15-year-old because they know how to text in their sleep and they sleep with their phone. There's a balance. It is a marketing tool. They are all marketing tools. It's reputation management. So think twice before you hand over the reins. How much would you really pay that person to do it? And are they going to represent you the way you want to be represented? Because it's your brand.
That's why there's so many crappy Facebook pages.
Exactly. Because,
Blogs, I mean, just like
Yeah.
really poorly written blogs.
very good point. So some specific tips. You know, the imagination goes.
This is what a marketing degree does.
This is where, yes, my journalism degree from Indiana University. Next. So these are just some tips. The idea here is going back to search. So Pinterest is a very visual platform. Every Gmail is undergoing I want to say renovation because that's the market I'm talking to, but revamp. And now Gmail is going to start to look more like a Pinterest board. Why am I telling you that? Because the visuals are so important. And we are in visual businesses, lucky us. We don't sell accounting, boring. Who wants to see a spreadsheet? We sell cool stuff. So as an example, if you set up a Pinterest account, that you can actually, this part right here, hide your Pinterest profile from search engines. You know, you want that off. You want the search engines to find you. You want to leverage the content that you're creating. You want your name out there as much as possible. You want to show up in every platform that Google will possibly allow you to show up in. Think about your name. So when people don't really care how you file your taxes, if you're an LLC or an INC, or they're looking for your name. They're looking for the company name. And the more complicated you make it, particularly with Facebook, the harder it is for that stuff to show up. So I'll go in, and I got an email today from a company in the suburbs called Handy Solutions. They sell garage stuff and everything. And so I'm like, okay, I need to make sure I'm following them on Facebook. I want to pay attention to what they're doing because it's related to my industry. Like, that's good content, and that's a good relationship to have. And it took me, because they have lowercase, uppercase, and there was a space in between, and it seems like a straightforward enough name, but it still took me a couple minutes to finally find their Facebook page. Part of that is because they don't do a lot on the platform, and the other part is because the name's kind of, so again, just a point to be aware of, if you have not created these profiles yet, make your name as simple and as straightforward as you can, because then you're going to be easier to find. Like McDonald's. Google does not like Facebook. Facebook doesn't like Google. Facebook is a privately held, well, it's not privately held, but it is their everything is their own. And so even though when I say that if you search Denise Butchko, my Facebook profile will show up, not the things that I do, my activity on there is not. They keep things very proprietary. So when you said you don't love Facebook, here's a great justification right into that I'm not going to try to convince you to love Facebook. Now the other side of that scale is there are a billion sets of eyeballs on that platform. So it's up to you to weigh that. Other platforms are much more open. Google Plus being obviously, Google doesn't like Facebook, vice versa. Google Plus is Google's answer to Facebook. I'm finding it to be a very interesting platform. It started off so geeky. You guys would be right at home there. And now it's getting much better because I can really target the interior design community. And so that when I go to my feed on Google Plus, it's pretty much all interesting stuff. Whereas with Facebook, because I started it so long ago, it's all kinds of stuff. This activity indexes in Google. Because of course, Google right now in the world equals search. So if you're thinking about where you want your stuff to show up long-term online, this is something to continue to pay attention to and really, I think, prioritize it on your list. Because they're gonna put all their eggs behind, they're putting a lot of money behind this platform.
So do you, like everything, do you kind of duplicate your Facebook profile on Google Plus?
In a way,
Okay. I mean,
you can use the same, cover image, your logo, if you're, I'm a solopreneur, so I use my picture a lot. I'll use this closet photo on a lot of different platforms. If you come up with good, your tagline, a good description, there's no reason not to copy and paste it into other platforms. It'll just help things show up, and why reinvent the wheel every single time?
I don't know anybody on Google Plus, so I've never really thought about
You
it.
might be surprised. You might know people.
Yeah.
You might, yes.
But the
And you
thing
can
is
meet
that
people.
You
Yes.
have to have a Google account,
You do,
Oh, a Gmail account.
Gmail account.
yeah.
Because if you have a Gmail account, you're automatically basically signed up.
They're no fools.
And if you get an email from a friend that says so-and-so wants you to follow them on Google Plus,
Yeah.
that's exactly what they're trying to get you to do, is sign up. So it's just, there's ways that they subtly ask.
Yeah. That doesn't mean you have to change your whole email thing to Gmail, but
I have a Gmail account because of like
Somebody
I think
told you to
iTunes
log
or something like that, or I don't know, I forget.
okay. Twitter indexes on Google. That's all I'm gonna say. These go fast. So does LinkedIn. And actually, LinkedIn is probably my favorite platform, particularly for a business-to-business approach. You can really do a lot of research. You can really target your prospects. I get a lot of people signing up for my classes from my networking efforts on LinkedIn. And right now, LinkedIn is in the process of changing the way that people do company pages. So that's probably my favorite platform. I think it's totally worth the investment, and it's one of those that you don't have to be there all the time. And House, I do a lot on House, and I teach things about House. It's very targeted to the design build community. I joke that it's kind of real estate porn in a way. I mean, it's so.
That's what I think about it.
But it has a lot of eyeballs, and you really, House is a tech company. They look like they're in the design market, but in truth, they are so technical, and their search engine capacity is huge. And how you leverage that in a B2B environment. So if you're a designer and you're trying to get clients in a B2B environment, what you're doing is trying to get people who use your products, and you're getting them to share those photos, which is actually advisable on as many platforms as you can. So an example, the software that I use for design is one of my clients. We created a House profile, then we contact our clients, we get their project photos and their 3D renderings, and that's our content. And so we share their information, they get business, they get SEO from that, we have content, we're present on the platform, and it kind of goes hand in hand. Heather and I talked about the reason for having a specific voice on each platform, and the idea behind this really is not empty seats, it's having seats filled. It's how you speak to an audience on Twitter is different than how you speak to an audience on LinkedIn, is different than how you talk to somebody on Facebook. And why am I telling you that? Because it goes back to that, pick the platforms that you like. If you don't really like them, or you don't know about them, then think about what's going to bring you the best business leverage. And then you really have to pay attention a little bit to that platform. If you're talking to me in 140 characters on LinkedIn, or you're talking to me in this long paragraph on Facebook, remember, people are scrolling through their phones, and people have different preferences as well, just as you do. So you really need to match where it's target marketing. It's a conversation, but it's very much target marketing. And images. So this is actually just a screenshot of these are all, well, they're not all, there's some Christmas photos in there, but predominantly they're closet projects. I have no idea why, but way before digital cameras, and now I'm dating myself, which gets kind of boring sometimes, but that I knew I wanted to have pictures of my projects, even if they weren't, and most of them are not professionally shot, because I don't have the resources, or I don't think I do, to hire a professional photographer all the time. But now I have this huge library of content. I had no idea. I started doing this before Facebook. Now I can go back and I can write blog posts about these projects. I can do photo things. I can just decide to go in and post a picture and put a sentence about it. It's the most incredible resource I've created. Why I'm telling you that is because you have a camera in your hand all the time. Yeah. So you're taking before and afters. Glamour magazine's been doing before and afters since they started publishing the magazine. People love that. What is HGTV? It's the reveal. It's the before shots, it's the after shots. It's showing people what you can do. It's leveraging your business-to-business networks and how you're using products, art, whatever the case is, to bring that in. So that's really what I'm encouraging you to do, is whip out your camera all the time. And even because the more that things are getting image driven, the more there's a big thing about not using other, you can't just go online. I mean, I do all these presentations. Now I'm diligent about, I either have to find free images, which takes for friggin' ever, or, because if I want something clever, like it was easy to find the Q-tip photo, but other stuff, not so much. So then you pay for it. So now I'm in this mindset of I'll see stuff on the street or people doing something, and I'm taking pictures because this could illustrate a point somehow, and then I don't have to buy the photography. Now I also started taking pictures, like I was watching the Oscars and I'm taking all these pictures. I found out that's not going to fly. Like all the movie stars would still want their royalties. But I thought, hey, I own the picture, like it, So it was worth the shot. I might be able to sneak it in here, literally a shot. And thank you for laughing, Heather. And I joke, but film is cheap, really cheap, because you don't have to buy it anymore. And it used to be, you'd go in and you get permission to take pictures, and then you'd take all these pictures, and then you'd take them to the wolf photo, and you'd hope that like some of them came out, and oh God, if none of them came out, you sure don't want to ask the client to go back. And now I just shoot like crazy. Tight shots, wide shots, just you can check, and you're good. So it's so much easier to do now that really, if you walk away with one thing, it's do that. Even if you don't know what you're gonna do with the photos, take the photos everywhere, all the time. And people don't. I used to take photos. I worked a lot in fashion and image, and so I'd go in and like in the department stores, I'd try to take. I remember like the store paparazzi coming and telling me I could not take pictures of their displays. Now I can walk around Macy's and people are taking pictures all the time. They don't even think twice about it. So it's so much easier now. I do have business cards. This is just how you can connect with me. I do closet design. I teach closet design, and I teach a lot of marketing online. And that is what one of my websites looks like. Face looks kind of funny there.
It's for the.
I'm like, wow, I look like I got a spray tan like those guys on the $1 Million Listing last night. I was watching it and I thought they all like they're oversprayed. And yeah, you can go beyond that. Okay. So I would love to get your cards. I have cards here, and now if you have questions, please ask away, and I'm happy to. Somebody has to have a question.